I already cut the pieces for my building, just the two sides, back and the front, and just a little room that's going to be off the back of the building. It's like a little storage room with a door and a window. I've also pre-cut out the windows and doors, and I hang on to these as templates for later on. I always write the little front window, rear window kind of markings on them so I know which ones are which. And now I'm going to put some boards in by running a knife down the corrugations of the cardboard. I have to make sure that they are horizontal to the building, so the boards will be running horizontally. When I do this, I do it with a very sharp knife and just score through it just enough. You don't want to cut too deep or it will make the cardboard all floppy. I didn't bother putting boards onto the front one. I wanted to leave it nice and smooth for the front of shop. I'm just going to very briefly hot glue these together. And now that's nice and neatly done, I'm just going to pop on the little back room. So you can see it's super basic. Just glue that down. And it's ready to put the roof on. Really quick stuff. I've just got some cardboard that I pulled a sheet off it so it's got the corrugations underneath. And to measure it out, I just lay it across the roof and get a pencil. I leave, of course, a little bit of overhang for the side and just mark the centre roughly to the peak. As long as the edge is perfectly straight, then I can cut this down nice and evenly, and it should be exact from the front to the back. No measuring needed. And then to get the length, again having just a small amount of overhang, you always want to have something a little bit too big, then you can always take more off. This turned out to be just right, so I've got that done, and now I can use that one as a template. Just lay it on top, cut around it. This is what makes building like this so quick. You don't have to muck around measuring and making all your parts separately. You just make one and then make another off it and just keep attaching pieces in this way. That's the roof done. I'll hot glue that down as well. I just put a couple of bits on the back. They were a bit mismatched because I'd run out of cardboard, but that's all good. It's an old building. For the roof ridge, I've just used this bit of, I think it's meant to be cornice for a doll's house, but I think it's fantastic for this. But you could use a couple of coffee stirrers to do the roof ridge. And now some coffee stirrers just to neaten it all up and do the edging around the front of the shop. Too much glue as always. I use wood glue for things like this, so I have a little bit of working time because super glue is so instant. Each one, just hold it up, mark it up, cut it, and then glue it on. Has to be the easiest way to build. If you ever wanted to get your kids into this kind of thing, it'd be a great way to teach them as well, especially if they're like me and they are not too skilled with measurements. Nice and neat. Really tidies it up, and it gets rid of the corrugations in the cardboard too. And also for the side, it's just a really thin strip of a coffee stirrer. It was in a scrap box of wood bits that I keep from old projects, but it really neatens it up, hides the corrugations. I've done it all the way around. They're all mismatched because they were from different things. But yeah, just plonk them on there. Really quick, really easy and tidy. There's a bit of cardboard placed under that from a tissue box just to slightly strengthen it. Before I go gluing that on, I need to paint it all up. The first layer of paint is just going to be some black spray paint. You can brush it on if you want, but I like to do it this way because it's so quick. And now a very heavy grey, kind of a dry brush. I'm doing this because I want to put other colours on top, and applying colour on top of a black or brown surface is going to be too dark, and I couldn't spray it white because then the colour on top would be too light. So I work it out by doing a dark base and then lightening it a little. That way it seems to balance, and the colours that you put on top later, they come out accurately. I'll leave that dark under there like a shadow. No need to paint that at all. No one will be able to see up under there anyway. And now some yellow ochre and a little bit of brown just to take the yellow out of a little bit. And I think there was a bit of white in there as well, or probably a light grey, just to help it stop being quite so see-through. A lot of these cheap acrylic paints are transparent. I did a couple of coats of this. You see that grey and the black coming up underneath. If you only did, say, one coat, then it really helps your building look quite old. If you do 3 or 4 coats, then you'll have your building looking quite new. So, you know, you can add paint according to how aged you want your building to look. I've got it nice and smooth for the front. You can slightly see corrugations under there, but it's not too bad. And now for the roof, I'm just going to put a little bit of brown into the green because I wanted to darken it a bit. Always remember, if you want to darken green, add a little brown to it. If you want to lighten it, add a little yellow to it. That way you will not lose the green colour. I'm putting it on fairly heavily and unevenly too, so that way the roof looks like it's aged and has been repainted. Nice heavy layer on the back as well. I use overly large brushes, but I don't know, everything is kind of done in a very quick and heavy-handed method, but it always seems to work out, especially when you're making things that are meant to be a bit dinky. Now I tidy it up. You can still see that black coming through and a bit of that grey, which is really good. It adds dirt and shadow and that kind of thing. And now to make some trim for the windows and doors, just some more old scraps of coffee stirrers. They were already stained brown, but now some more of that brown and green. And to paint them, I use my fingers because you get a really nice, thick, even coat, and you can get around every side of the piece of wood at the same time. And just like I had done previously, everything is cut to fit. Just measure it, cut it, pop the glue down, and then pop the piece of wood into the window. I always do the bottom and the top first. That way you can slot the sides in, and it really makes it an extremely strong window frame. I don't know if it needs to be strong, but it helps balance it out as well. If it's slightly off, it will push it up to the correct angle. Nice and snug. Really nice and quick. For the door, I just used a little bit of balsa wood and some matchsticks around it, and I'm just going to paint it green, but I had forgotten to put the grey on this like I did with the building, and I had to put about 4 coats on. As you can see, this is what happens when you don't put a lighter coat down before your colour. It just is eaten up by the colour underneath it. It's very much a brown more than a green. For the inside of the windows, I also just got a sheet of scrap plastic and a paint pen, and I drew up a design using just a popsicle stick, so I didn't have to measure that either. I make it too big so I can shuffle it around and get it exact, and also not have to risk getting super glue on the actual window pane itself. So there's lots of room behind the window to glue it up into the cardboard. I just cut each sheet as equally and evenly as possible, and as you can see, it's way too big, but that's for room to move, so I can make sure I get it just right. It's a nice easy detail, that one. And just the little back room, I've just plonked a bit of the scrap plastic in there as well. Can't really see it, but we know it's there. And for the door, I used a paint pen. It's like a transparent one, and just coloured it to make it look like the old coloured glass in the door. Just an added bit of detail that's no effort to make. And you can see there, it's nice. The back door, it was cut to size from the template, but it seemed too big. So I, with the matchstick around it, I painted it yellow, the same as the building, so that way it would blend into the actual building and shrink the door back down to size, because when it was entirely green, it looked huge. So, yeah, help things blend in if they don't seem to work out too well. I put a bit of that yellow paint on the front door too because it was really bland, and a couple of pins just to make some door handles. Nice. It's really coming together now. Before I go putting on the awning, I'm going to put on some decals. I don't want the awning to get in the way while I'm working with this. These are ones I just printed out on some A4 paper. I got different sizes. Some of them were too big. With this one for the front, because it was so prominent and obvious, I had to make sure that it was going to be the right size. So I just held it up, and I wanted to use the bigger one because I wanted big signs on this, but you can see there's something wrong. It is just, I mean, it fits, but it's too big. So I went back to the smaller one and just made sure that it wouldn't be overwhelmingly large. I put a film of glue on because it gives me some working time. It only gives you about 2 or 3 seconds of time to shuffle your decal around. But if you use a paintbrush to put it on, you'll find that you don't get time to move it. And now just to get any air bubbles out of it or any lumps and bumps. Every speck of it glued down so it never comes off. And then I can see about putting more of these on before I put the awning on. These are all just really old school kind of Aussie signage on its biscuits. It's all stuff that's pretty much from the 40s and the 50s, which is kind of my favourite areas for these old buildings and shops and things. Coca-Cola, of course. I had someone once ask me if we had Coca-Cola in Australia. I thought that was a strange question because every corner of the world has Coca-Cola. Old tomato sauce, Herald Sun. I didn't want to go too crazy with the colours of these signs. That's why I kind of went with the colour scheme of the yellow and the green and the red and that little bit of blue, but it's going to be hidden up under the awning. Always keep in mind the colour scheme with these things. There's 2 of these, but I really like this one. I like that green, it goes with the roof. And another Coca-Cola one, because you always find that when you find one Coca-Cola sign in a shop, there's probably 30 or 40 more. Just plaster them everywhere. I didn't put too many signs on this shop though. Vegemite up the back. They seem like they're in odd places, but because of the sizes printed out, I had to put them where I could. This is a bit of a scrap that was off the yarn. It's one that I cut off. It looks like just some containers on shelves. So I thought I would jam that up in the back there, behind the window. And this is how I make a lot of detail in buildings. They're actual photographs, so they look quite realistic when you're looking in through a window. You see if there was light up in here, anyone looking in would be like, oh my goodness, there is a room with shelves, like a storage room. So yeah, all ready for the awning. I've put some coffee stirrers down this. They're darkened so they don't stick out. And it's just slightly angled, so I will be able to adhere this to the front of the building without it dropping off. I want lots of surface area so I can get it glued down. It'll make it nice and strong and I won't have to worry about it being bumped and broken. Excellent. Alright, to move on to doing a base for this. For the base, I used a bit of foam core board. Because I'm not gluing it down on a diorama, it needs something because it's going to have posts for the awning. So I've just drawn in a bit of a few lines and a bit of grey paint stippled on top. It's just to give it that look of concrete. A couple of coffee stirrers or popsicle sticks glued down just to strengthen the foam, because I've noticed over time it can warp and I do not want that to happen, so I'm going to stop that by gluing these down to make it hold its shape over time. Wood glue, of course, on foam, and then down it goes. Now I'm ready to put in my little posts. I didn't actually glue these while I was filming it because I need to flip it over and put super glue onto the awning and then wood glue into the bottom all at the same time kind of thing. So I'm just faux putting these in so you can see how it looked. But they really make the building. I think every time you put something like this onto a building, it really just does wonders for it. It makes it get that really nice realistic look. Oops, stand up. You can see them wiggling around. I didn't even stain these, I just put them on as they were. I thought they just looked really nice as is. And now it's all built, it's just time to grubby it up just a little bit. Just make it look a little more aged and worn. I'm using a very flat brown house paint and just drop it into a dish and then add some water to it just to thin it out. I'm using a really flat paint, so when this dries, the brown kind of grubbiness of it isn't shiny at all. And I just put it in areas that dirt and grime would accumulate over time, and shadows might be cast. You know, things coming up from the ground, little bits of mould, whatever, around the base of each of these. It stops everything looking so brand new. Along the edge there, a little bit too much accidentally. You make a mistake like that, just wipe it off immediately. Don't hesitate or think, just remove it. And now finally just a dry brush, just some grey again. Really, really light dusting. This is a feather touch. I'm barely touching the building at all. Just to highlight the details and also knock a little bit of the shine off the roof and bring everything together as one piece. And that's all there is to this one. It really is a really quick and easy basic build. Those decals are one of the great things that make it look really time consuming and complicated. But it's just one of those things you could build on a weekend, no problem at all. And you could make so many designs, so many different types of shops and buildings like this, and on any scale you like because it's so basic. Well, I do hope you got something from this video, and I hope to see you next time.